Hi, John. It's Jeff. If you wouldn't mind, could you mute your mic, please? Because I think we're picking up all of what's going on in your house today.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Hey, John, you just turned off your camera, but you didn't mute your microphone. The mute your microphone button is right next to the turn your camera off button. It's a little microphone. You've got to click it and it turns red.
Let's see, I'm doing it on my iPad right now, and I don't see the little microphone. I found it.
Did you? Thank you, John.
How did you like that?
I got it. We'll get this yet, right, John? Okay, well, welcome to our February 23rd Google Hangout for the Ohio Teacher Showcase. As usual, I am Barb Moore, and I am from Western Reserve Public Media Educational Services Division, and I'll be narrating today. Jeff Good is here doing the technical stuff and keeping me on track, and John is here as well, so welcome to everyone. I just have one reminder for you. If you would, you need to watch every one of the Google Hangouts that has been broadcast. You can access them on YouTube, and you need to watch each of those from the preceding months if you haven't, and then do the evaluation at the end of the Google page that represents the Hangout. And if you'll notice, there is a website address right here for you to be able to go right to the Google Hangouts and access the one that we're doing today, and then you can also go through the ones that have occurred since, I believe it's October of this year, or maybe September. So today's topic on this nice warm day, it's 9 degrees here in Kent, and we have icicles hanging from our roof. They're more like stalactites with a C for ceiling. They're about 5 feet long, I think, and I think they would kill anybody who got underneath of them. But anyhow, we'll stay nice and warm talking about collaborating with technology. First of all, John, I think you'll have to answer this question if you're there. How have you used Google Collaboration tools for the Teacher Showcase project? Have you gone beyond using them for the Hangouts or those kinds of things and used them in other ways? You'll need to unmute your mic.
John, your mic is still muted, unfortunately. I'm not quite sure why you're still muted. I have you showed up over here as muted right now. I tried to adjust it and unmute your mic, and you're still muted, so yep, you're still muted. Still muted. Hey, John, do me a favor if you can hear me. Why don't you hang up the call and then click back on that link and connect right back up, and then we should be able to get your information.
While John is doing that and signing back in, I want to share with you a project that we've been working on here at Western Reserve. I'm going to go to a PowerPoint presentation and talk to you a little bit about something that we've been doing with the Soapbox Derby here in Akron, Ohio. We have actually put together a design team, who I call them the Dream Design Team, to develop some curriculum modules based on STEM skills and standards, the Soapbox Derby, engineering, and 21st century skills. And we're using Google in not necessarily a unique way, but a new way for us. This is a small picture of our design, of our small part of our design team. The people were in and out that day, so the cool thing about this is, though, that right over here in the lower right side of your screen, we actually have a computer set up, and it it is set up so that the person who's on a Google Hangout on the computer is actually able to see the other people on the design team, as well as the presentation and everything else that's happening in the room. And when we click on him, we can see him as well. We did a 5-hour Google Hangout that day, and we broadcast it so that it would be archived to our YouTube channel, and then the one person who wasn't able to be with us for the whole day actually sat down and watched the whole 5-hour production. There were a couple of other people who came in and left, or left and came back, and those people were actually able to click into the parts of the Hangout that they missed and pick up on what it was that we had done during that period of time that they were gone. The other thing that we have done is we have developed all of the curriculum for one module of the whole 5-module packet, and we've used Google Docs to do that. At the very beginning, I set up a Google Doc that everyone had access to, and then when they had time to work on it, and I should say here that some of these folks, two of them were from Columbus. The fellow on the computer on the Hangout is from Illinois. The lady with the black hair there is actually vacationing in Florida right now. But everybody had access to the Google Doc, and they went into the doc then and wrote what they thought was appropriate for various pieces of the curriculum. They added vocabulary words, they wrote content, they did activities, and they did lessons, they inserted videos, they did all kinds of things, and we actually came up with a really, really spiffy curriculum that we're right now gussying up a little bit so that we can post it on our website and begin piloting it in some of the schools in the area so that we can assess whether we've done a good job or not. That was kind of a very unique way of using the Google Hangout and Google Docs, and the folks excuse me, who were on the curriculum team really had never had much experience with either one, and they just jumped right in and started using it. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So I'm going to go back and see if John has managed to get back online with us and see if he's got anything that he'd like to share.
All right, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just great, John.
Good. So what I do is I have my students do background research They're studying natural selection and evolution, and they have read a series of papers, and they choose one of those researchers, find out their email address, and then they send me an email requesting that video conference between the researcher and my classroom. So then I forward that email on to experts around the world, and we've set up about 6 so far. We have one scheduled tomorrow with an expert, Alan Templeton. He's from Israel. And then on Thursday we have another video conference with John Hawks, who's been on NPR and so forth. He studies evolutionary biology also, and he'll be video conferencing with us from Johannesburg, South Africa, at a fossil museum. So we're pretty excited.
John,
Could you repeat?
yeah, John, have you had a video conference yet with anybody?
We have not had any so far, so that will be our first, at least in that class. In previous classes, I've done this before, so
Cool.
for this project, the first one will be tomorrow.
Okay, and what grade level did you say you're working with?
Grade 10.
Great. Okay. All right. Wow, that's a really cool use. Very good. Thank you.
Now, John, you're using Skype, correct? Did we have that conversation?
Yeah, so I use whatever they want to use. 5 out of the 6 I have lined up are all going to use Skype instead of Google Hangouts. So I say whatever you want.
Cool. That's good. That's good. Whatever's easiest for them, and at least they'll do it that way, right?
Correct.
Okay. Anything else, John?
As far as outreach with the community, that's what I have. I do have some Heidelberg University professors that are interested in looking at my students' projects coming in when they present them to the class. So I have 3 of those lined up. We've had an awful amount of snow days, though, so this project, like everything, is going to have to be shortened to some degree.
Are you off today?
No, we had a 2-hour delay today.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a good thing. I feel sorry for the schools right now. It's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, John. Well, thank you. Jeff, anything that you'd like to talk about as far as Hangouts is concerned, or anything in using Google in a collaborative way within the classroom?
You know, I think I did a presentation at the tech conference in Columbus recently, and I think more and more what we find is that there are a lot of folks that the old traditional distance learning folks that used to use video conferencing equipment or their video conferencing room, or the old IVDL, and they're starting to use this technology more and more. And it certainly seemed to be a lot of the conversation I had with the folks after the presentation I did, which was really, this is a really, whether it's Skype or whether it's Google Hangout, this is a really interesting tool that they can use with their students. And it goes beyond just how we're doing things right now. A couple of districts talked to me about how they're using Google Hangout for students that have extended absences, and it's a way for them to still be part of the classroom. I've had districts that enjoy being able to archive, much like what we're doing here in a Hangout on Air, because then in a blended learning environment, they can kind of direct their students to that video that they've created, so that the students can go back and either watch it before they come to class or watch it after they get done with class to pick up on the things that they may have missed. So there's been a lot of, I think, exciting opportunities using these collaborative tools right now, especially the communication tools, and the fact that we can all talk in real time, but what's great I love about Google Hangout is we could also be working on a document together in real time and see each other. I'm an old distance learning, I'm just old, but I'm an old distance learning guy, and what I used to really strive for in working in a distance learning environment was the ability to see faces. And that was always, you know, whenever I looked at distance learning networks, that's always what I strive for with my teachers, is how can we create an environment where we can see faces? Because oftentimes you've got your students that don't really want to ask questions, you know, and you can kind of gauge from their facial features if all of a sudden you ask a question and you can see that confused look on it. You can suddenly say, okay, you know, John or Barb, you know, you look confused. Do you have, you know, do you want me to help a little bit with more further information? You know, I also love seeing more and more people are using the chat feature, because you know the students that you have, if you're in a collaborative environment, not every student wants to participate. And so the chat feature is really a nice way that students can be semi-anonymous, so to speak, and they can still add information or add important content to the presentation. So we're seeing more and more folks using it, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too. So am I. And just for another use of that, we are having a meeting to meet someone new on Friday, and someone who we had not met before. And rather than bring all those folks together from Indiana or in Illinois and Columbus and all of those places, we're actually going to do it by a Google Hangout. So we're seeing more and more uses of it for kind of business type purposes, just like you're seeing more and more of it in education. Well, I think that I'll go on. I have a couple of other uses for Google and other parts of Google that might give you some information that you would be able to use in your classroom. And so I'm going to bring that PowerPoint back up here and go through and talk a little bit more about some of the things that we can do with the other pieces. So one of the things that can be done with Google Docs is if you're actually having a department meeting or a staff meeting, it's possible to actually take notes and then share them with the rest of the staff. Maybe two of you can take notes at the same time and capture a lot more information. If you've got a shared doc list, you can store your lesson plans so that others in your school can find them and maybe use the same kind of thing that you're using. You can create a folder for your grade level to share those resources. Another use for Google Docs, if you have a non-English speaking student or non-English speaking parents, you can always translate a document to send and collaborate with those parents and to do some communicating. You can have your students working from home. Snow days are perfect examples of that, from anywhere, and you can give them a lot of simultaneous feedback that's ongoing as they're working on it. And another kind of take on that is that instead of having to lug all those reading response journals home, you can actually have students each keep their journals on their own shared Google Doc. They can share it with you, or you can share it with them better, and you can just grade it right then and there, give them feedback, and they can continue to do the writing in their journals. There are some other things that can be done using some of the other elements of Google, and one of those is using Google Sheets, which of course is the spreadsheet portion of Google. You can track your students' homework easily, and then you can even send that information home to parents with an anonymous number on it so they can see what their students are actually turning in or not. You could use spreadsheets and share it with parents so that you could schedule parent-teacher conferences really easily. There's a flashcard gadget in spreadsheets, and you can set up a flashcard center for your class using that. A lot of people don't even know about that, but there is. Google Forms is another part of Google that you can use if you're giving a multiple choice quiz in a couple of days. You can actually really look at the data very quickly and decide where the students need extra work or where everybody's gotten the concept by using the summary feature. You could use Google Forms to conduct science experiments. In fact, I think we'll be using forms in some of this curriculum that we are putting together. And the students can collect, share, analyze, and graph their data very easily. You can use Google Forms as a survey for students at the beginning of the year, and you can find out all about their interests, and then you don't have to worry about those little white index cards that we all carried around just a few years ago about our kids. You can do teacher and student observations using forms simply by inputting data as it comes up as a question, and then it automatically goes into a spreadsheet, and if you're a principal, you can aggregate that into your spreadsheet about your teachers, and teachers can do it for their students. And students can also complete reading records online using a Google form. So once they have finished with a book, they can simply go onto a Google form that you have put together, complete it, submit it, and you'll have all the information you need about what they've read and what their impression is of it and how they summarize it. Google also has a calendar feature, which I'm sure that some of the educators out there are using. You can create an activity calendar for the whole school or for your class, or a class homework calendar that you can share with students and parents, and they can download that, or it can even be embedded on a website that you may have for either your class or your school. You can set up your classroom and administrative tasks using the task feature, and you can make lists using that. And there could be a use for it for a resource calendar for a laptop cart, who gets it when, what period, and what day.
Barb?
Yeah, Jeff?
We're still on the what else. We're still on the slide that says try translating a document to give to non.
Really?
And I know I didn't know whether you were referencing slides and they just.
I am. Let me stop sharing and let me grab the presentation again.
Okay.
I've been moved. Hold on one second. Thank you for telling me that. Okay, let me. There's that. Okay, let me go back. As soon as I figure out where. There we are.
If you went full screen, Barb, on like start the presentation, because it was always it stayed in that almost that edit mode.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Let me the presentation again.
Okay.
Hold on one second. Thank you for telling me that. Okay. Let me. There's that. Okay. Let me go back. Hold on. Let me do this. Figure out where. There we are.
If you went full screen, Barb, like start the presentation, because it was always it stayed in that almost that edit mode.
Okay. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Why am I hearing this? Presentation again.
Okay.
Hold on one second.
You have to do
thank you for telling me that. Got it.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
It's all good.
I don't know. Okay, am I back with you?
It looks like It looks like you were back with us for a minute there with your slides. You had the latest one about calendar.
Was I talking?
You were talking, yes.
I was. Okay. Let me do this one more time. John, I apologize, and anybody else out there that I'm wasting your time. We'll get it. Okay, so I talked about the calendar for educators, and I'm going to move to the next one now. Tell me if it moves. What would I do with sites? Have I moved?
It has not, Barb. Can you click Start Presentation from the beginning?
Well, no.
Okay.
How about if I just do it this way? Do you think that would work? Are you seeing something now?
We see you.
Okay, well then I will just go through my slides and talk to you instead of trying to show them to you, okay?
Wonderful.
Really? Okay, so there's also a feature in Google called Sites, and what Sites does is allows you to create a website for your school or your classroom with documents that are embedded. You can embed calendars, forms, and gadgets. You can start a new site in Google Sites that can be a template for maybe a student portfolio so that students can showcase their student progress and work throughout the year, and then it can be also passed along from year to year. And then finally, with Sites, you can create and share curriculum at your school or your district. Gmail is another area of Google that you might be able to use and collaborate with. You can use Google for translating any messages from parents or students that might be sent in a different language. You could also set up pen pals, John, much as you have set up the Skypes and the communications between your kids and authors in another country and use the translation tool. You can use the chat feature to invite a guest speaker into your classroom. And then finally, you can even use the Gmail to connect with students on snow days. Another portion of Google is the Blogger. You can have students, rather than reflecting in a journal, you can actually have them reflect on their daily learning using Blogger. And that way they can read each other's reflections if things are set up that way. And then they can discuss those things, and the discussion can be extended beyond the walls of the classroom. And another use for Blogger is to create lessons for snow bags, which, John, I would imagine that you're kind of familiar with. The students can then access the content and any videos or web links or quizzes and any exit tickets from anywhere. I'm going to leave the presentation mode and come back to you this way. John, have you used any other collaboration tools in your history as a teacher that you could tell us about today? John? Jeff, have you used any other collaboration tools that you'd like to talk about that are outside of the Google realm?
You know, we've used everything from. Oh, let me get my camera back here. We've used simple things like Doodle. We'll use Doodle to do kind of collaborative scheduling. I'm trying to think of some other ones. We start outside. I'm surprised I'm thinking outside the Google world. I mean, we have everything from what are some other ones that we've done as far as, you know, kind of collaborative educations, and we've done so. I mean, we've experimented with some of the other tools. I apologize. It's been we've been predominantly focused on the Google line of things.
Okay, that's fine. That just shows how good Google is and how we should all be using it. Another tool that I have looked at and used a little bit is MindMeister. It's actually a brainstorming tool that you can use within your classroom, kind of acts like a whiteboard. And there are a few other tools out there. Padlet, of course, is one, and Linoit, Linoit, I believe, is how that is used. I have put a whole collection of those other than Google tools and some ways to use them, things like Twitter to tweet with, and some of the other tools that are out there up on the Google page, the Google Hangout page for this particular Hangout. And as you can see, that's right here. I can also bring that up and show you there's the other, if you can't read that. And finally, I want to just, in wrapping up here, remind each of you who is watching this Hangout, and as you watch any of the Hangouts that you have not seen in the past, to please complete our evaluation. And I will put that up right now there on the lower third. And there will be more information, and you can access the evaluation from there. We do have some changes in deadlines that I need to tell you about. As you know, and these are all on the home page of the Teacher Showcase, you need to submit your lesson plans, your videos, and any supporting materials this Friday, February 27th. In addition to that, you will need to submit your reflection video, and that date has been pushed out to March 31st. And finally, the project evaluation needs to be completed on April 10th. Now, next Hangout is going to be on March 16th. And at that Hangout, we will have a little bit more information for you about the reflection video, as well as having posted some questions that you may want to address as you're taping that video. So, does anybody have any questions? Or I see Jeff and I are left here. Jeff, do you have any questions?
I think the biggest thing is, and as we wrap this up, is there actually are two videos. So as folks start to wrap up and do their lesson plan video, keep in mind, as you said, Barb, that the next Hangout that we have, we're going to talk a bit about what should be in your reflection video. It's not as quote-unquote creative as the using the lesson plan video, because it's really going to deal with some of your ideas. So hopefully the March 16th we can actually share an example of one of those videos. And like you said, Barb, it's really important for folks that are watching this to watch, to try to catch up on all the showcase trainings, and please take the evaluations the evaluation is listed at the very bottom of each of the pages. And just select which month that you watched and some of your observations, and that would really be appreciated.
Okay, Jeff, thank you very much. And if there's nothing else, then I think we'll sign off here on February 27th of 2015 and stop the broadcast, and just have a good month until we see you the next time. Thank you.